Hi there, I'm Ken Majmadar. I'm the founder of Ridgewood Investments. I'm an investment professional, and this video is about a great company I heard about probably 9 months ago that I think a lot of people haven't heard about. It's called Rivian, and so I'm going to compare Rivian to Tesla. Tesla, of course, as everybody knows, is the company run by Elon Musk. It's been a stock market darling. The stock has run up. Originally, I think the stock went public in something like 2010 at $17 a share, just before the coronavirus pandemic. The stock was trading around 300 plus or minus a share. It had recently run up pre-split to over 2,000 a share. So by any metric, it's been an incredible investment for people. Of course, some people, and arguably make some good points that Tesla may be in a stock market bubble. The valuation recently was as high as $350 billion, which would place Tesla with a lot less sales of cars and revenue below a lot of other people. But I'm going to actually, most of this is really to talk about this great company that, again, most people have not heard of, called Rivian. I was thinking of entitling this video Investing in Rivian versus Investing in Tesla. Of course, it's a little bit premature because, unfortunately, Rivian is a private company. And in full disclosure, after I heard of Rivian, whatever it was, 6 months, 9 months ago, maybe a little bit more, I looked a lot at the company, what they had done. It had been really a sleeper. They came out in 2018 and said that they were going to build 2 cars. And there's a lot of really interesting things about this company. It's a company to watch. I've personally mentioned it over the last 3, 4, 5 months to a number of different people. And I would say that in almost all of those cases, nobody had heard of Rivian until I mentioned it to them. That's how much of a sleeper it is. So let me talk about Rivian, why I think it's a really interesting company, why I think it is a really interesting investment, which unfortunately most of us will not be able to make because it is a private company, not publicly traded. And I'm making this video in September of 2020. And I think that there's probably a good chance that sometime in the next few years, maybe by 2021, 2022, or maybe within the next 2 to 3 years, I think there's a good chance that Rivian might go public. And so when it does, I personally am going to be taking a close look at it. So what is Rivian? Rivian is a automobile company. It's an electric car automobile company. Their main manufacturing plant is in Normal, Illinois, and that was quite a very large plant that they bought. Used to be a Mitsubishi Motors plant that they took over, and they have spent. They will, by the time they're done, they're going to spend probably $1 billion plus just retooling that plant. What that means is putting in, refurbishing the plant and then putting in all the equipment needed to build their cars. So why do I think Rivian is so interesting? Well, a couple of points come to mind. First of all, as an investor, management is a really key aspect of any company, any investment, of course. It goes without saying because really in any company you have whatever their strategy is and then whatever results that they're trying to achieve. The people that the company has, starting with the top people in the company, are the key to whether they can turn their strategy and execute and actually deliver results. So that's my first point on Rivian, is that I'm actually very impressed with the management of the company. And in particular, the founder of Rivian is a relatively young guy. I think he's around 30 right now, maybe even high 20s or low 30s. Incredibly young for what he's actually achieved. And I don't know him personally, but I've watched videos of him, some interviews, and I've heard some stories and anecdotes of what he's done so far, what he said he was going to do, and what he actually has accomplished. It's incredibly impressive. And I'd say, by the way, that I heard about Elon Musk quite a while ago. I'd say it was probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. I read an article about Elon, and Elon is very impressive in a lot of ways, goes without saying. What he's achieved is also quite incredible, starting multiple very successful companies, and or building them up. I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but Elon didn't actually start Tesla. Tesla was started by other people, but Elon was an investor and then ultimately ended up investing quite a bit of money, and he ended up running the company in part, and I don't know all the details, because he had difference of view on the execution metrics and the success or failure that company was undergoing. And so he got in, rolled up his sleeves, and started running Tesla, and the rest, as they say, is history. But going back to Rivian, so point number one, management. This guy, RJ Scaringe, went to MIT, super impressive guy. One of the things that impressed me, there was actually a couple things that really impressed me and are a real great contrast to Tesla, different styles, you could say. So one is his whole dream, his whole life has been to start a car company. And so even apparently when he was a young guy, like either a teenager or definitely as a student, definitely by MIT days, and maybe also before that in his undergrad, he was already saying to people that, I'm going to start a car company. And to put this in context, that's kind of a crazy thing to say. Elon Musk has said this, and RJ would also admit this, that starting a car company is sort of a crazy, just a crazy thing for anyone to do, especially in this day and age, because number one, there's so many car companies that are already around, a lot of competition. The market is, I would say, fairly saturated in terms of just total number of cars. And very competitive, very saturated, but most importantly, it's a very, very capital intensive, right? You need to, I've seen a video with RJ saying this, where you need to have invested, several $1 billion before your first car rolls off the assembly line. And so that's called a capital intensive business. Car making is a very capital intensive business. And so when you combine it with the competitiveness of the business and the amount of competition that there is, it's a very daunting thing for someone to say, especially when they're really young, I'm going to start a very successful car company. And yet he held on with tenacity to that vision, and he's really, really made, it's quite impressive at this point. If you look, Rivian has raised billions of dollars privately. They've got a number of things going for them that are really interesting. So I would say management I count as a very big plus. I'm very impressed with RJ Scaringe, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing that name. If I am, my apologies to RJ. But so that, I think, management and the fact that they had a vision of what they wanted to do and they've executed on it is, I think, a very impressive point about Rivian. A second thing, and I think these are both points about the company, but also make it, I think, a very interesting investment. Unfortunately, though, it's private, so we can't do it at this point, is that I think it's almost like the anti-Tesla, and RJ is almost like the anti-Elon Musk, because he sort of reminds me, there's this saying from Roosevelt, speak softly but carry a big stick. And I'd say RJ's version of that is to let the product do the talking. And so that's a very different philosophy than obviously the kind of things you see with Elon and Tesla, as successful as they've been, and as much as a fan I am of Tesla as well. And what they've achieved is also quite incredible in many different aspects. I like RJ's philosophy that, he's not going to hype things up. He's not going to overpromise and perennially miss deadlines and underdeliver. His philosophy is, I'm just going to build great cars, and I'm going to, try to not overpromise. I'm going to meet my deadlines, and if anything, I'm going to do more. The car is going to overperform on expectations. So I really admire that philosophy. I really admire RJ, and I just think those are excellent indicators of the quality of the management team that Rivian has assembled. And of course, I'm talking about RJ, who's the top guy. He started the company, and he's really seen it through from vision to reality now. But I think it's very likely that the other people that he's recruited and surrounded himself with are of a similar mold, because culture starts from the top and it flows downward. So As we learn more about Rivian and RJ, I think we're going to find that Rivian has assembled an excellent management team. And I think that that makes it a very interesting investment proposition. So the other thing that I think is really interesting is obviously, Tesla's been around with electric cars for a while. There's a lot of other companies coming out with electric cars. And so besides the management and the idea that they don't overhype and underdeliver, is that, coming in late, even though Rivian started earlier on with different types of cars that they were going to build, they've really honed in on making, initially at least, they're only going to have 2 cars, and they're different. They're quite different than I think anything else that I've seen. Now, first of all, they're all electric, so that is a given. But there are 2 cars. One is called the R1T, and the second one is called the R1S. And so what Rivian has done, I think partly to differentiate themselves, is they have focused on a niche of the market, which is they're going to make probably the first really good electric pickup truck and the first really good SUV. I mean, the Model X is probably a really good SUV too, but it's a different kind of thing. If you look at the pictures of the Rivian, and not only the pictures, but the features and a number of other aspects, the R1S, which is their SUV, looks to my eyes, looks kind of like it's inspired more by a Range Rover. And then the R1T is a pickup truck, very different than obviously like Tesla's Cybertruck. But both of the cars, we'll either put up a picture along with this video or just go to Rivian's website and check out these cars. I mean, they're really, really good looking, beautiful cars, very spacious. I think they're really designed for people that want to go outdoors or off-road or, like with pickup trucks. So, I mean, these are big, big markets that they're going after, but to my mind, they've created a really, really good, really differentiated product that actually takes advantage of some of the things that you can only do with an electric car instead of an internal combustion. But it just looks beautiful. And also the other thing I want to note is the pricing relative to, say, for example, the Model X, the Rivian R1S, and even the R1T are priced at, to my eyes, a lot lower. And what's also neat is because he's really been just doing the work to, and when I say he, I mean RJ Scaringe, the CEO, and all the rest of the people at the company. They've been doing the work sort of in a very quiet stealth mode. They are going to go, these products are going to be real probably next year. So next year being 2021 is going to be a year where a lot of people are going to notice Rivian. So they're going to come out with the R1S, the R1T. As I'd mentioned, I actually liked it so much just having seen the product and looking at some of the videos. They, similar to what Tesla did, they had a $1,000 deposit, which a completely refundable deposit. So I actually put down my deposit on the R1S because for the price and the size of the car, it looks to me like a pretty good value. So I'm pretty excited about Rivian. I'm pretty excited about Rivian as a products. But I'm also excited to see Rivian succeed as a company. A couple of other points I'll just mention as additional things, and you guys can Google it and look up and read up more about this company because I think you will be hearing a lot about this company in the coming years. So hopefully, if you see this video or you stumble upon this video, you'll remember that you saw it here first. But a couple of other things that I think are super interesting. So they've raised billions and billions of dollars from really pretty sophisticated investors. Jeff Bezos, I think early in 2019, invested, I think $500 million or more in Rivian, but Ford has invested in Rivian. There was an auto parts company that has invested in Rivian. There's quite a few backers and believers in this company. So I've read an article that they've raised, I know they've raised about $2.5 to $3 billion as of 2019, and then I think they might have raised several billion more this year. So they're probably already in the $4 to $5 billion, maybe even a $6 billion range of money that they've raised. at higher valuations. But one super interesting thing is not only are they working on the R1S and the R1T, and by the way, I think I might have mentioned this, but if I didn't, R1S stands for Rivian's first SUV, and R1T stands for Rivian's first truck. But so when Jeff Bezos invested on behalf of Amazon, he apparently toured the factory, met the founder and all that stuff, made that investment personally, but also, and I think it's probably going to work out great for Jeff, but also he ordered 100,000 Amazon electric vans from Rivian. So he's hoping that he wants all 100,000 of those vans to be delivered. I read an article by 2023. So I think what Rivian's going to do is they're going to take their manufacturing capacity, which is much greater than probably the initial demand for these cars, and they're also going to make these Amazon vans, and I assume that they're going to build them on the similar platform that they have for the R1S and R1T, probably more the R1T. So these would be the Amazon cargo vans that you're going to see everywhere, would be all electric cargo vans made by Rivian in the United States for Amazon. So that's another exciting development, as well as all the money that they've raised. I think they're really going to make a splash in 2021. I'm hoping that they will go public prior, sometime in the next few years. And if and when they do, I think it'll be a great success for everybody and a great success. And I will be looking at it quite closely to see if there might not be an opportunity to invest in Rivian for the long term. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel. And give me some of your comments, and please send us other ideas of things you'd like to see us talking about in our Investing with Ken Majmudar YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.